I was just talking to some friends of mine about our military days, and I was thinking about my time in the Navy. I uh, I was in the Navy for 9 years, and I went in like right before Christmas. I actually spent Christmas in boot camp um, in 1976, and I got out in I want to say it was February of '86. A little over 9 years. Anyway, we were talking about some of the stuff we'd experienced during our time in the military, and I remembered this time I was trying to describe what it was like to be on an aircraft carrier, and I worked on top of the aircraft carrier. I was on the flight deck, and seen a lot of stuff up there. Uh, I remember the first time I actually watched planes coming in to land, and how interesting and exciting that was, and then the first time I got to watch planes take off. Now after a while, obviously it got to be old hat, and um, you know it just seemed like a normal way of living. I look back now and I think how dangerous it was, and I'm like, I had young, dumb, and well, you know the rest. Um, there's no way I'd get on top of a flight deck today. It was a very, very dangerous job. I remember hearing one time they say it was one of the top five most dangerous jobs in the world. And I remember several times where I had really close calls. Um, I remember one time I was walking towards the front of the ship. We had a plane up there. I was an electronics technician, aviation electronics technician, and I had to go up and troubleshoot one of our planes. Anyway, I was walking up and I saw this plane, and I saw the cockpit open up on it, and it was sitting with the tail off the side of the ship. And I thought I heard it, but I didn't see anybody in the plane. And anytime one of the aircraft, especially the jets, is operating, there's supposed to be somebody standing in front of it, usually about 50 feet in front of it, um, keeping people from walking right next to it for fear of being sucked into the intake. And it just so happened the guy that was supposed to be doing it that day, I had heard that he was um, trying to become an aircraft jet mechanic. And so he was around the side of it. I was coming from the other side of it, and he was on the other side. He was on the side of it, watching what the mechanics were doing while they had this jet turning, uh, operating, and the guy that was up in the cockpit was leaning over to that side. So I didn't see anybody in front of it. I didn't see anybody in the aircraft. And I just happened to walk real close to it. And all of a sudden, I felt this tug on my shirt. And I knew right away what it was. It was just like instinct. I had seen enough stuff and learned about I had been up there on the flight deck probably at that time, a good 6 months. And when you're out at sea, at least it was back then. When you're out at sea, you're working 12-hour days, 7 days a week. And my very first cruise, which is when this happened, um, was during the Iran-Iraq War. So we were on alert a lot. In fact, my first cruise I went on, we left Norfolk, Virginia, and we were out at sea for like 93 straight days. 12 hour days, 7 days a week, no days off, 93 straight days. We pulled into Singapore uh, and over on the around the Indian Ocean area, Westpac, I should say, and we pulled into Singapore for 5 days. We went back out, and I didn't get to see another. I didn't see land again until we got back to Norfolk. 155 days later, a little over 5 straight months after already having done 3 straight months. And needless to say, I didn't want to do that again. But getting back to what I was saying, I had been up there by that time long enough to know what was going on. And instinctively, I just kind of dove to the ground and started grabbing what we call pad eyes. Those are places in the deck that have a cross and it's like rebar, and it's where we put the chains, hook the chains to tie down the aircraft. I grabbed one of those, and I just sit there and went, "Oh my god!" It freaked me out. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, it some crazy experiences you can have. I remember one time too. I was up on the flight deck, and we went to general quarters. No, I'll take that back. That was after that. We were in flight operations, and a F-14. This is what the aircraft at that time in 19. This it was in 1980. At that time, those were the top of the line fighter jets, F-14, same one Tom Cruise was in with Top Gun and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, the F-14 was coming in to land, and when they come in, they're supposed to, when they hit the deck, they're supposed to full military power forward after they've dropped their hook, and then that way, in case they miss the arresting gear, which is a big cable stretched across the deck, if they miss it, then they just take off. Well, I remember seeing this. I remember seeing this aircraft come in, and I was surprised that he didn't do that. He actually idled down. Well, he missed the arresting gear. And then all of a sudden, I guess he realized what he had done. And so he hit it, and this plane took off, and it starts climbing up, and it's climbing and climbing, and you can see it's almost like in slow motion. And he finally gets to a point, and I'm sitting there watching this, and I'm thinking, "Oh goodness, this is not good." And you could just tell the way that his thought process was. He got to a certain point where he had to decide, okay, am I going to stay with this and try to climb out of it, or do I eject? Because if I don't climb out of it, it's coming back, and then he's going to be pointed down. And if he ejects, he's ejecting into the water, or if he's over the top of the ship, he ejects into the ship. So he got up to a certain point, and he went ahead and ejected. And I'm watching this, $100 million aircraft just off to the side. We all run over to the side, watch it. We watched it go down, and I'm like, wow. Those are just some of the things. I remember one time a helicopter crashed, and we cleared the flight deck, and it's trying to come in. We could see it off in the distance, and he was going to try to land on the flight deck, and we had cleared off the flight deck, moved a bunch of aircraft. Everybody was going nuts. I think we were under general quarters at that time. And so the helicopter comes in, and he gets probably, I want to say maybe a half a mile, and all of a sudden the engine just go out. I mean, he's not more than 5 or 6 football fields off the side of the ship, just barely misses being able to land on the ship. And the helicopter goes down, and it was I can't remember what kind of helicopter it was, but it had a crew of probably 4, 5, 6 people it could carry in it. So it was a fairly good sized helicopter. It was the search and rescue helicopters that they used on the ship in the event that they needed to do something like that. And it went down. We all run over to the side. We're watching it, and we see heads popping up out of the water. People that were in it that got out of the helicopter and then come up. They launched a search and rescue helicopter real quick, and actually sent a cable down. I think they pulled 2 guys out of the water, and then all of a sudden that cable breaks. I don't know what. I don't know if it broke or if it got released. Whatever. It went out. It went down. They threw out a life raft, and guys are climbing in it. In the meantime, on the side of an aircraft carrier, if you can vision this thing's the length of, like 3 football fields long. Along the side of it, people are just lined up watching all of this, and I'm about the middle of the ship on this catwalk with some other guys, and they throw the life raft in there. Guys are climbing in it, and at one point, I'm taking pictures too. I had just happened to be real close to my work center, and I had a camera there, so I grabbed it real quick and went back up trying to take pictures of it. And anyway, we're all sitting there watching this, and all of a sudden I hear this roar, and I'm like, guys are just yelling, and I'm like, whoa, what is going on? And all of a sudden I looked at the raft, and behind it, probably I don't know, maybe 50 yards off of from the raft, this guy is swimming trying to get onto it, and behind him, probably another 100 yards behind him, is a big dorsal fin. I'm assuming it's a shark. And that's everybody was yelling, get in there, get in there, and he did. He made it in. We didn't lose anybody on that accident, and we didn't lose anybody on when that aircraft crashed either. But those are the kind of things you see when you're out at sea in the military. Some strange things can really happen. I got a bunch more, and I'll try to, as I remember them, I'll try to do a little quick video on them and send them. You guys tell me if what you think of it. Anyway, see you on the next one.